You spend years raising them, guiding them, loving them, and then one day they pack up their things and head off to college. It's what we've prepared them for, right? It's exciting, it's terrifying, and it's a whole lot of feelings all at once. So, how do we prepare ourselves for this massive shift? How do we handle the quiet house, the empty chair at dinner, and the sudden realization that things will never quite be the same? That's what we're talking about today, because it's a lot, and that's okay. Welcome to And That's Okay, the podcast where we explore the ups and downs of life and remind ourselves that whatever we're feeling, it's for a reason, and that's okay. I'm Lisa Renee Scott, your host and a passionate believer that every feeling matters and every step forward counts. Each week, we'll dive into real-life challenges, share relatable experiences, and offer actionable steps to help you navigate through it all. Before we jump in, I want to remind you that I'm not a licensed doctor or therapist. I'm here to share experiences and insights that have worked for me and others like me. So, your child is planning to move out, to go away to college. And let me just pause and say we could have named this just "they're moving out" because the feelings are the same if they are just moving out on their own or if they're moving out to go away to college. The days leading up to the move-in are a roller coaster. 1 minute you're excitedly shopping for all the dorm essentials, helping them pick out bedding, and making sure they have everything that they need. And the next, you're standing in the middle of their half-empty room, wondering how the years passed so quickly. Let's be real. This transition stirs up feelings you might not have expected. You start noticing lasts. Am I right? How many out there are experiencing lasts this year? Usually their senior year, right? The last home-cooked dinner before they leave, the last lazy Sunday morning with them in the house, the last time you'll hear them yell, "Hey Mom, what's for dinner?" And each of these moments sting a little. It's a bittersweet mix of pride and sadness, wouldn't you say? You know they're stepping into a new, exciting phase of their life. You want them to spread their wings, but that doesn't stop the ache of realizing that their childhood, the part where they were yours every single day, is now a memory. And there's loss of routine. For years, your life has revolved around their schedule. Soccer games, school drop-offs, late-night talks. Without that, your days suddenly may feel a little different. Maybe even aimless at times. And then there's the realization that there is fear around a potential disconnection. Will they still need you? Will they call? Will they come home on weekends? How do you navigate this new role of parenting from a distance without overstepping? All of these feelings, they are real and they are valid, and they do not mean you're doing anything wrong. You're not being dramatic and you're not being too attached. You're a loving parent navigating one of the biggest shifts in your life, and that's okay. So how do we move forward in a way that honors both your love for them and this new phase of life for yourself? Instead of resisting the change, we're going to shift the focus toward intention. This is where we start carving out a new rhythm that acknowledges the loss while also embracing the possibilities, like reclaiming your time and your space. What's something you've put on the back burner for years because you were too busy running to practices and making dinners and organizing school schedules? A new hobby? A fitness goal? More travel? Now is the time to rediscover you. And let's talk about creating healthy communication boundaries. How do you give them space without feeling disconnected. We'll talk about setting realistic expectations for calls and texts and visits so that neither of you feels neglected or overwhelmed. And it's also about redefining your role as a parent. You're still their parent, but the way they need you is shifting. You're now more of a guide and a sounding board, a steady presence. And learning to embrace this new role without micromanaging is key. So let's talk about some action steps. I have 5. Oh, these are good. These are good. 5 action steps for you today. Number 1, schedule your first just for you activity and commit to it. Instead of letting your days be consumed by silence or sadness, actively create something to look forward to. Choose one thing that is entirely just for you. That could be taking a class, a solo day trip, a long overdue coffee date with a friend. Make it real by putting it on the calendar. Hold yourself accountable by telling someone about it. And then push past the guilt. This is the tough part. Doing something for yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. Number 2, create a realistic communication plan that's mutually agreed upon between you and your child. One of the hardest parts is figuring out how to stay connected without hovering. Have an honest conversation with your child before they leave. Ask them how they want to stay in touch. Would they prefer a set check-in time like Sunday night calls, or do they like spontaneous texts? Trust me, they want to know you're still there just as much as you want to be there. Set expectations for visits. Do they want to come home for long weekends, or will you plan a visit after a few months? Give them space. If they don't want to text back right away, it doesn't mean they don't love you. It just means they are adjusting too. You have never been a parent of a college student before, at least not this child. And they have never been a college student before. There is a lot of adjustments. Take into consideration their feelings also. Action step number 3. Transform their room in a new way that feels right for you. This doesn't mean boxing everything up immediately, but instead of keeping it exactly as they left it, which can feel like a shrine, make a balance. Keep the sentimental items, but repurpose the space. Maybe you turn a corner into a reading nook or a craft area. Make it welcoming for them, though, too, but do not be frozen in time. Let it evolve, just as they do. Action step number 4. Plan a first visit without overstepping. It's tempting to mark every long weekend and holiday on your calendar, assuming that they're going to be home. But instead of deciding for them, involve them in the planning. Let them initiate when they're ready. Ask, when do you think you want to come home for the first time? And keep your visit low pressure. If you visit them, don't expect to spend every second together. Let them show you around, but also give them space. Action step number 5. Write a letter to your future self to read in 1 year. This moment is going to feel so huge. But a year from now, you'll be in a different place. They will be in a different place. So write about what you feel, whether that's excitement, the grief, the uncertainty. Seal it and date it for 1 year from today. When you read it next year, you'll realize how much you've grown and how much your relationship with your child has evolved. This transition isn't just about them. It's about you too. It's about acknowledging that a part of your life is shifting, and that's okay. It's okay to cry in the cereal aisle when you realize you don't need to buy their favorite snack anymore. It's okay to miss their noise, their presence, their everyday moments. But it's also okay to look forward to a new routine, new memories, and new ways of loving them from afar. This isn't an ending. It's just the next beautiful chapter. And that's okay. So let's recap those action steps. 1, schedule a personal activity this week and follow through. Set up a clear communication plan with your child. Transform their room or a corner of it in a new way that serves you while keeping it welcoming for them. Plan their first visit or yours without pressure or expectations. And write a letter to your future self about this moment to read in 1 year. Letting go isn't easy, but it's proof of a job well done. The fact that they are ready to step into the world means you've given them the tools to do so. And while their daily presence in your home may change, the bond you've built will not. Love stretches, it grows, it adapts, and so will you. Trust in that and know that that's okay. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of And That's Okay. I hope you found our discussion insightful and that you're leaving with some practical steps to apply in your own life. Remember, no matter what you're feeling or going through, you have feelings, and that's okay. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might benefit from today's topic. Until next week, take care and keep moving forward, one feeling, one step at a time.